If you watch the news or you listen to mainstream media, because the vocal minority, the radical minority, who hate Jews and hate Israel and are pro-Hamas, they've been given the platform and they've been elevated and they've been on the streets. But if you went out into when we had our rally, none of those people hate Jews. Now, the Jewish community make up 300,000-400,000 in the UK, I'm not sure, yeah? But the Muslim community are 5-6 million, probably more. So, are they bothered about how the Jews vote? No. How is their future coming from siding with Israel? No. These political parties and these groups know the future for them is to appease this group, like they just done, recognising a Palestinian state. Right. That's it. Islam is a religion of peace. Bullshit. What are you talking about? It never has been. Do you know that phrase in one of my books? That phrase, Islam is a religion of peace, was never said till George W. Bush.
Islam is peace.
And it's like the genocide, it's like the far right. Islam's a religion of peace, just keep repeating it. And then it's spoke about as a matter of fact. No, it's not. It's a conquest ideology. It's a violent, warlike ideology. Tal.
Hey.
How are you, bro?
Morning, Tommy. Good to see you, bro.
Where can people watch this, Tal?
On the travelingclad.com, Traveling Clat YouTube. Anywhere you look up the Traveling Clat, you'll find me. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here in Tel Aviv with the man, the myth, the legend, Tommy Robinson.
Thank you, bro.
Tommy, first I really appreciate you taking the time to do this interview with me, because I've been really fascinated by your journey here in Israel. At first, I want to start off with a little bit of a controversial question. Why the fuck did you accept $7,000 from the Mossad to come on this trip? Why in the world would you betray?
Do you know what? Do you know that weaponization of those accusations? The intention of that is to keep everyone silent on Israel.
Correct.
Yeah? It's a very good campaign, wherever it's come from. But the intention of saying that anyone that says anything positive about or defends Jews or Israel, anywhere in the world, is now you're being paid, you're Mossad.
Right.
That's it. And that is supposed to scare most people, whether they be influencers or just ordinary people, to prevent them from standing up and speaking out.
And it's actually very effective.
It's very effective. I've watched all this.
Yeah.
So basically, the way they used to try and silence me or toxify me was to make accusations that I was a racist or an extremist or far right. And that hasn't worked. It did work, yeah? And it made people afraid to stand next to me, yeah?
That's happened to me, by the way.
Yeah, okay.
With you.
With me, yeah.
I was afraid to, even though I believed the things you were saying 10 years ago,
yeah,
I was too scared to ever vocalize my support for you, because I was told you were far right, you were an extremist.
Well, you see what they've done there to you. You see how you felt there? That's how most people now feel about Israel or Jews.
Correct.
Because they're scared to speak up, because they don't want the bombardment. Now, it's a very clever campaign, because I look through my messages now, I look through the comment sections, they attack the comment sections. When I say they, yeah, Qatar, Iran, there's a mass influence that I think Israel has been losing. And I think that you're 20 years behind on the education system, as in the universities. They've been in there, they've been polluting the minds, they've been attacking. But the mass movement online, and I don't get fooled by it, yeah? Many people will.
Correct.
You'd think there's an army out there of people who hate Jews, but when you go on the street, say in the UK, like I read all the comments, and there's a few rising ethno-nationalists growing in number online, yeah? But if they held their own rally in the UK, there'd be 50 people.
Right.
So let's not kid ourselves, yeah? But then you would believe, if you watch the news or you listen to mainstream media, because the vocal minority, the radical minority, who hate Jews and hate Israel and are pro-Hamas, they've been given the platform and they've been elevated and they've been on the streets. But if you went out into when we had our rally, none of those people hate Jews.
I even saw Israeli flags out there.
You'll see lots of Israeli
with the freedom
flags.
flag of Iran alongside it.
At every rally.
Yeah.
At every rally, yeah? And I'll give you a story. I come here, I went for a dinner here, and I spoke to a Jewish lady who's from London, but lives abroad in America. And she flew back. She said, I flew back on my daughter's birthday to your event because it was so important for me as a British Jew to make sure I was there. I didn't know what to expect. I've never been on one of these events. So she said, I went back and my friend bought the Star of David. And when we went out in the streets, she goes, bearing in mind, up until this point, we'd felt so alone. And you know that isolation that Jews feel?
Of course.
And they're feeling on their own? Well, that's how they want us to feel. And they've tried to make us feel like we're part of a fringe group and we're a minority, yeah? So she said she put her Star of David out and they started walking. She said, and she realised that they weren't on their own. There's an army here of men. And all the men were going, we're with you, we stand with you, we love Israel. So she said, all of a sudden I thought, oh my God, the British public, which is what that movement was, They don't hate us.
Right.
But Jews, if you watch from the outside in, if you're in Israel and you're watching British news and you're seeing them talk about Israel or constant Hamas rallies, constant Palestinian flags, constant sympathetic voices and attacks on Israel, you'd think Britain hates you. Now, if it was put to the Brit, and especially with our government recognising a Palestinian state, a terrorist state, if it was put to a public vote, there would be no recognition of a Palestinian state. The British public have had enough.
They don't support it.
No, they don't support it.
I do want to ask you, though, about this whole fringe group idea. This is something actually, I haven't really seen anybody ask you this before, and I've been really curious about it myself. I know that a lot of even lefty Jews and people on the left in general will criticize you for having an association with far-right groups, will criticize you for being a Nazi. The way they throw that label, I mean, I'm a Nazi today. Everybody's a Nazi. It doesn't matter who you are. But do you have any regrets for the associations you made with people in the past? Like, is there anything that you were like, I wouldn't have done that?
So again, I set up the English Defence League in 2009.
Yeah.
You've been told it was a far-right organisation, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Well, the entire time I led it. Now, the domestic extremism unit, based at the Metropolitan Police Force, whose job it is to categorise groups like this. You have the BNP, extreme far-right, National Front, extreme far-right. Do you know the entire time I led the EDL? The police, the experts, I'll send you this article.
Okay.
And I'll send you this. The copper got obliterated by the media. Yeah. He came out and said, no, the English Defence League's not far right. It's a centrist organisation. That's what it is. Yeah. And he came out and made that statement and they attacked him so much. But that was the truth. Do you know why that was the truth? We set up in 2009, English Defence League, Jewish division, led by Roberta Moore, very brave Jewish lady in London. Led by Roberta Moore. We had a Hindu division, we had a Sikh division, we had a lesbian and gay division. At every...
So even while you were a Nazi, you were still fighting for the rights of Jews and gay and lesbian people?
At every single demonstration, we had a non-white person speak. At every EDL demonstration.
Wow.
Because I'm from Luton Town, you have to understand my upbringing, yeah? I'm from a town where many of the people I love, they're not white. they're black. They've come from the Caribbean. Most of my friends are sons of immigrants. I have Muslims I grew up with that I love, that I'm friends with. Yeah. So that's how the English Defence League formed. Now, once they tell you something 10,000 times, it just becomes a matter of fact.
It's effective propaganda.
The media can push an agenda.
Correct.
Yeah. Now, genocide. It's the same shit.
Yeah.
Once they repeat it a million times, you have people in the UK now who will say, Israel's an apartheid state. Well, where'd you get that from? Well, what's that mean? Yeah, they just repeat it. Israel's committing a genocide. What do you mean? Yeah, let's look at the numbers. Let's look at the numbers but no one looks at the numbers. No one goes past the headline. They know that. So they know how powerful the media is and they continually bombard it, yeah? So that's what you were told about me. So when people talk about my regrets, just look at my history. Look at the presentation I gave at Oxford University. The far right, as in the Nazis, the ethno-nationalists, I'm a traitor to them. And I've been a traitor. And I bought, I don't know if you know Rabbi Nachman Shifrim. So we held a demonstration in 2010 outside the Israeli embassy in London in support of Israel as the English Defence League. Yeah, that's what we held. On each one of our demonstrations, you'd have seen the Star of David. And all of them. We flew over a rabbi, it's a funny story actually, Rabbi Nachman Shifrim. He's called the Surfing Rabbi from California. He's a strong rabbi. Yeah? So as I went down, you have to understand that I grew up in Luton, so I grew up listening to Muslims all the time. 50% of the town's Muslim. I heard the derogatory comments about Jews. I saw the attacks on Jews. The Luton Islamic Centre, which is the terrorist centre, which is where terrorist after terrorist after terror plot come from, that's the old synagogue. There's no Jews left. Yeah. Right. So I understood very quickly. I was inspired by Geert Wilders. So I listened to him, I learned from him. Two people who helped me in my early days as well in understanding Islam was Robert Spencer, Pamela Geller. And so my worldview has been shaped by my upbringing as well in the town of Luton. So I saw lots of this. I saw lots of hatred of Jews. So from the time we started, so when people have this view that I used to be some sort of racist, never have been. In fact, I sat down on Trigonometry recently. It's a big podcast in the UK. And they said, well, you've evolved. It's like, no, I haven't. No, you've evolved. Yeah? Everyone else has evolved. I haven't evolved. I'm saying the same things I said in 2004. Dig up a leaflet, which I'd done at the Oxford Union presentation. I dug up a leaflet, and if you take that leaflet that I made in 2004, which made the front page of my newspapers, and you read it, nothing's changed. What I say in that leaflet, we don't have a problem with ordinary Muslims, but there's a problem going on in our town. Why do the police not deal with them? Why are the heroin gangs not dealt with? Why are the terrorists not dealt with? Why are we attacked? Why aren't they? Why are there racial and religious attacks against whites and blacks in Luton? So from the start of my activism, I've always said the same.
And I can confirm that, by the way. In the last year, my team has sent me countless videos of yours to react to, some that go back 10 years to the Oxford Union, some that are recent, like trigonometry stuff. And it's always been a very consistent messaging. And over time, to be honest with you, when they first sent me your clips, I was like, oh my God, Tommy Robinson he's this controversial character. I don't even know if I want to platform him because of what I knew about you from before. And as I kept watching your content over the last year, I was like, I can't even argue with the points you're making. You're speaking 100% truth. And I'll tell you above that, when I first used to travel, because before I was a travel video creator, that's what I did before October 7th.
That's why traveller, okay.
That's why the traveling
I was thinking, what's the traveller, okay.
I actually used to come to Luton quite often because I would fly and I would live around London in different places. And when I flew into Luton for the first time, I was actually shocked by what I saw when I arrived there, because I saw it felt like parts of East London where it was just like a Muslim enclave of the UK. And I was as a Jew, whenever you arrive in a situation like that, not knowing who you're dealing with, not knowing the demographic, you're always a little bit like, wait a moment, I'm a little bit out of my character. And something that I wanted to talk to you about too is about that experience. When I was at your speech here in Tel Aviv, I was amazed to see how much support you have here in Israel. Like I was flabbergasted. I was like, wow, Tommy has a lot of fans here. And I realized that what you're fighting for, this idea of fighting against the Islamism of Luton, of the town that you grew up in, is actually something that 70% of this nation has. People who come from my background, Avi Yamini, who works with you closely, we're Mizrahi Jews. We're the Jews who came from the Middle East.
Yep.
We have a direct relationship with Islamism taking over our countries, our villages, our homes, kicking us out of our homes, and eventually expelling us or just murdering us outright. So when I was looking at the crowd that you were speaking to, I was like, wow, the people who Tommy is speaking to right now, they really get what you're fighting for.
And
yeah.
And our public don't. Or they're learning. And reason why people hated what I was saying 15 years ago. Yeah?
Right.
Now they get it. Why do they get it? Because what I was talking about was what I'd seen. I didn't have a crystal ball. Like it's what the Arab Jews have seen.
Yeah.
They've seen it because their towns or their communities have been taken over. They've experienced the violence. They hear it from their parents. Well, I was in Luton town and I'd seen the takeover of my town. I'd seen the grooming gangs affect my family, my cousin. I'd seen the rapes. I'd seen the violence. I'd seen the hostility. I'd seen something very different from one section of the town. And I couldn't understand it until I started going down the rabbit hole of Islam to try and work out what was going on. Now, you have many people who describe some Jews now as October 8th Jews,
right.
Which was when many would have been awoken. And the reason I think many of these Jewish groups or organisations who were about peace and harmony in Europe, in Britain, in America, they saw, like we have some groups that attack me, some Jewish organisations that claim to be the voice of the Jews in Britain, and they attack me. And they stand alongside the establishment on every issue.
Yep.
So even recently, this same organisation that's been attacking me constantly, then they're with Labour. They're supporting Labour. It's like Labour just recognised the Palestinian state. And then many of the Muslim groups that they've been having their arm around, having photos taken, where were those Muslim groups on October 8th? I'll tell you where they were. They were calling for the river to the sea. Yeah. So the friends that you were aligning yourselves with, which I was fully aware who they are, you were apologising for them and thinking you could keep feeding that big Islamic crocodile and it's not going to eat you. Yeah. And on October 8th, they realised it's going to eat you. Yeah?
It's coming to get all of us.
For all of us.
Yeah.
So, and again, I've watched all of this. I think there's been a mass awakening. Now, the mass awakening that's happened in Israel since October 7th, we have to try and work out what that would need, what the equivalent is in Britain. So you had 1,400 murdered from a population of 10 million, on that time. We'll say we got the death rate, what was it, 1,400? Did it go up? So that's the equivalent of 15,000 Brits being murdered in one attack from 4,000 or 5,000 jihadists in Britain. If that happened tomorrow, I'm pretty sure the British population would uprise in scenes that the world has not seen, Because we've had attack after attack after attack, and unfortunately, it's going to take a lot to wake Europe up. They need to see it, they need to feel it, they need to understand it.
So the question is, have you learned anything here in your time in Israel? You've been here for 10 days or so.
Yes.
Have you learned anything you feel you can apply from this country towards your fight in the UK and Europe?
I first come here in 2016 to learn. And the reason being, I knew our future is your future, wherever you are. So I wanted to come and understand, how do these people live surrounded by jihad? How do they live? What's the security implications? What's our future look like? How much freedom do they have? So I come here and I saw your bus stops, 2016. And I saw how fortified they were with bollards. And I thought, that's our future. And remember, we didn't have this then.
Correct.
I thought, wow, we're going to have to live like this. Now, so you understand, in Britain, we have to have fortified, every town centre is fortified with what we call diversity barriers, yeah? Where they, Christmas markets, machine guns, police with machine guns. And I actually done a story on this where I showed the Christmas markets in Poland, in Hungary, and then I went to the Christmas markets that were cancelled in Paris, the Christmas markets which are fortified with bollards all around them in London, in Manchester, and said, what's the difference between these two areas? So in Poland and Hungary, they're still enjoying their freedom. They don't have to fortify. Why not? Because they haven't had Islamic immigration into their country. So we're supposed to just accept the change to our nation when they're importing, giving home to the Muslim Brotherhood, allowing Hamas, allowing all these terror groups to thrive and grow. And whilst that happens, we lose our freedom, we lose our safety. And that's now. So I come in 2016 to ask lots of questions, to see how you lived, and I understood that's our future there, right there, yeah? So I'm here again. What have I learned now?
Yeah.
The Raise the Colours campaign, the identity, you guys have it. You guys have it because your community. I went to a meal last week with some lone soldiers, about 20 of them. Those young men, which I was inspired by them, yeah? Because I looked at them and thought, these young men understand. Everyone in Israel understands. The people who have come back here understand. There's something far greater than them at risk here. Yeah?
Of course.
We don't get that. In Britain, what we've come to encourage, and the break down the family, all these things, we've come to encourage that all that matters is me, just me, and my family, and that's it. So people will make some money.
Oh, watch out.
People will make some money. They'll make some money. They'll move away from the problem. They'll think, I'm okay. It doesn't matter what's happening to the non-Muslims in Luton, because I'm okay. Now, young men travelling from all over the world to come back here on their own without their families because they know something's far greater than them, which is their people. It's their country. It's their homeland. And they're willing to sacrifice and give their life to defend that. So I'm looking, thinking, you have a brotherhood, a sisterhood, a togetherness that we need to reinstall, which we did have, yeah? So community, something bigger than us, which is Britain, it's our culture, it's our identity, which we now realise is at risk. I also take this, yeah? Well, that's what I'm taking away from you're all so fit, yeah?
Oh, not me, I'm not included in that group.
Bad example. But if I look along the people, and there's not many people, everyone's in great shape, which is what we need, because this is the most important thing.
Yep.
Like in my experience, people say, what would you change? I wouldn't change anything, and I wouldn't change anything because even the mistakes I've made, which I'm going to have made mistakes, when I started the English Defence League, I was 25 years old, just so people understand. I had 7 homes at that point between me and my wife and 2 successful businesses. I was on a path to being a successful young entrepreneur. Yeah, I was doing very well. And then I realised that it doesn't matter how much money I've got, and I can move, but at some point I'm going to be on the beach. Yeah?
Right.
I can't run from these problems. And it's far great, the problems are far bigger. I'll try to explain this to my ex-wife. Yeah, we've got 3 children, Jenna, right? But this is going to affect the whole next generation of children. I understand that what happened on October 7th is coming to the UK.
It's coming globally. And I think part of the problem too is you in the UK, you have been told, and I fed into this problem as well, is that people like you who actually stand up for your indigenous people, for your native people, are wrong. Somehow you're bigoted for doing that. And so when you lose the value, like here, I think what we realize is exactly what you said. We have nowhere else to go. It's here or bust. If we lose this, it's over for us. We're cooked. You know, like we don't have an alternative. And when people in the UK, in my opinion, start thinking in that way, that when you lose, 90% of London to Qatar, when you lose 5% of your country to a radical movement, a radical religion who wants to take over, you're in an existential threat. You got nowhere else to run.
And that, I keep saying that now, where are we meant to go? Yeah? When the country changes, when the demographic changes, when Islam takes over, where are we meant to go? Now, the Pakistani community, many of them, well, they can go back to Pakistan.
Right.
Somalians, well, you can go back to Somalia. But us, where are we meant to go? England's our country, it's our homeland, that just like this is the Jewish homeland.
Correct.
We've got 1,000 years of Christian history, and we are not going to give it up. That's what I say. We're not giving it up. We're not about to just be silenced. But the problem is, or the encouragement is that they managed, through these slurs and these smears, like they're doing now to Israel, they managed to prevent the public speaking out. They managed to demoralise the public. They managed to paralyse them with fear. Because everyone was scared about being called a racist, and rightfully so, because that slur and that attack, remember how, if you want to know how powerful it is, it paralysed our entire country's police force, our government, and it allowed the rape of a generation of our daughters at what we now call grooming gangs.
And then they turned a blind eye to it.
They
as well.
turned a blind eye and allowed kids to be raped because they were scared of being called racist. And the government and council did it because all they care about is power. Now let's put that equivalent to understand an analogy with Israel, with the Jewish community. So they allowed a generation of our daughters to be raped, and the Labour Party and the government allowed it because all they care about is power. So they didn't want to upset their vote bank. So rather than upset their vote bank, kids can get raped. Now, in 2013, and this is important to understand the Labour perspective on this, what they think. I was in my hometown of Luton, I looked in 2013, and I looked at the demographic growth projection for the communities in my town by 2030, so over a 17-year period, how the town was going to change. Bangladeshi and Pakistani community were going to increase by 70 to 77%.
Crazy.
The black and white community by 1.2 to 1.4. So Labour, the council, they know what's the future. It's the Pakistani and Bangladeshi community in towns like Luton, which are many towns now across the UK. So rather than upset them, they let them rape. Now the Jewish community make up 400,000 in the UK, I'm not sure, yeah? But the Muslim community are 5-6 million, probably more. So, are they bothered about how the Jews vote? No. How is their future coming from siding with Israel? No. These political parties and these groups know the future for them is to appease this group, like they just done, recognising a Palestinian state.
Right.
That's it. And everyone is appeasing, even Nigel Farage, who's Reform's leader. He sat in an interview recently and he said the Islamic demographic in the UK is going to become so powerful by 2050 that we cannot alienate Islam. Now, if you're already putting up your white flag in the UK, how do you not alienate Islam? Well, you give in to them. And what does giving in to them look like? It looks like recognising a Palestinian state. It looks like throwing Israel under the bus. Now, Israel needs to understand
and the Jewish community in the UK. You see the reaction by UK government after the Manchester attack on Yom Kippur, and it was abysmal. I mean, they were openly laughing about it. There were protests in support of the attack an hour or two after. That is a part of that problem. That's giving up. That's raising the white flag, saying, you know what, take over my country.
What's the future? What's the future for the Jews? What's the future for the non-Jews? Yeah. What does it look like? Well, you have to understand that in towns and cities across the UK, the dominant group are the Muslims. Yeah. The dominant, whoever controls the streets controls the town.
Correct.
I know that from growing up in Luton. Whoever are the gangs on the streets, they've got the control. They're militant, they're up for violence, they're running drugs, they're running prostitution, they're making money. They have it all. They use their corrupt money to influence politicians, to influence police. And unfortunately, the Pakistani community, like the jail I just went to, the prison I was in had a 40% Muslim population. Like, what sort of over-representation is that? And they're overrepresented in criminality, in gangs. It's like a Pakistani mafia across the UK. Now, why is that dangerous? Because the next generation, wait till this next generation come through. Because the next generation come through, no one can speak up on behalf of Israel. No one can really speak out against Islam because they are so strong in the schools. They act in gang mentality. Now, we need a mass awakening to wake up the public, but we also need to build a British community, which is what we've been doing under the United Kingdom, where we're saying to everyone, listen, we need to defend our culture and our identity here. We need to stop giving in, stop surrendering our values and understand what built this nation. And the United Kingdom movement is about, again, it's my ethos from growing up in Luton, it's about uniting everyone. I don't think that the good migration that's come into the UK, the integrated and assimilated migration, should be turned on. I think that it should be celebrated. And we are grateful to many communities for the great way they've embraced and loved our nation. Yeah, my mum comes as an immigrant to the UK.
Correct.
Right? But rather than embrace and love our nation, many of those that have come from Islamic nations with values that are like oil and water. You're trying to mix oil and water. Yeah? And so long as you allow the influence of Qatar and Iran And these nations in the UK, with their money, with their propaganda, with the influence they have over media, well, the funny thing is, you know what they do so well? They play the victim and they play the underdog. So let's see what they do. Gaza and in Palestine, they play to the world that they are the victim, they are the underdog.
Right.
But in reality, Israel's this big, yeah? And it's surrounded by 23 Islamic nations. And all of them have proxy armies from Iran and these countries. There's jihad surrounding this nation, the real underdog here on the world stage.
And that, by the way, when the Arabs and the Muslims, they talk about Israel, Palestine, it's very important to remember, they don't represent it equally to the two of us, right? So when they're talking about it to us, to random disenfranchised white people in the West that they want to appease, they'd say it's an Israel versus Palestine conflict.
No, it's not. It's Israel versus the Islamic world.
Versus the Arabs. It's the Jews. When they represent it in Arabic and in Islamic circles, they say it's Israel, it's the Jews versus the Muslims.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, Israel becomes the micro underdog.
I also find one thing a bit sad. I feel it's sad how happy that many Jews are. They're like, oh, we thank you. And it's like, you shouldn't need to be thanking me. I'm just telling the truth that I've told, yeah? And to be honest, I'd say, so people who are sitting there feeling depressed about the situation or how you're represented, I was hated for a decade, yeah? I've got through that. If you haven't noticed, I don't really care what people say about me.
I've noticed.
Yeah, I know the truth will prevail. So I know that where I was, I used to walk down the street, people would spit at me. I'd walk down the street, they'd punch me in the nose, they'd attack me. Those same people are now embracing me in England and hugging me because we've got through it, yeah? We've got through it, their propaganda has not worked, the same will happen, yeah? Brave people will inspire others to speak out, courage, men follow courage, they don't follow weakness, yeah?
Correct.
So Keir Starmer, no one's following you. Macron, no one's gonna follow you. The future of Europe belongs to strong leaders. I think that Minister Chikri invited me here, the government invited me here. I've looked at who else they're aligning themselves with in Europe, whether it be Santiago from Vox Party. This is the future of Europe, yeah? The future of Europe.
It has to be, you don't have another option.
No, otherwise we're gone.
Yeah.
So the future, and we also have to make sure that this ethno-nationalist mindset that's coming out of some in America, yeah, and spreading its way into Europe, if it's allowed to take hold, Trump will not win the next election, yeah? The Republicans won't win because they will toxify that message so much. They will bring down that message. It's the same in Britain. It's the same across Europe. So we need to make sure to not tolerate or stand with that message at all, because it's going to ruin patriotism and nationalism from my point of view. So yeah.
Now, I wanted to show you something
Yep.
that I usually show my esteemed guests and colleagues on the channel.
Yep.
I showed this to Roseanne Barr a few months ago.
I love Roseanne Barr, man. I really want to meet
Shout
up
out
with
to
her.
Roseanne. We love you. You got to get her on our podcast.
I'm desperate to, and I had problems for my last court case. So I obviously can't get in America at the minute. I'm hoping to travel there. I'm going through the process now to try and get into the United States. I think that... Thank you.
Soon, inshallah, soon you will be able to go to Roseanne.
Oh, sorry.
Now, our amazing cameraman who's been walking backwards this entire time. I want to show you
2,000-year coins.
3 incredible things
Yep.
here that I have. I showed this to Roseanne and she freaked out. So I know I don't want to label you as a Zionist,
Yep.
but I know on Twitter you've
I
gone
label
publicly.
myself as a Zionist.
That's the thing. He goes on Twitter and he calls himself a Zionist.
For me, a Zionist is a homeland for the Jewish people. Why not? 55 Islamic nations. This is Jewish land. This is historically, biblically, this is Jewish land. I think the Jews need to stop apologising. I think they need to just come out, right, who cares about what anyone says? I'd stop going back in that cycle and trying to justify anything.
Right.
This is your country.
Right.
Fuck everyone.
I
Excuse my
agree.
French, fuck what everyone says.
No, I agree
Yeah.
100%.
So many in the UK are scared to, like even the Jewish groups are scared to speak about Israel. Stop it. Stop it. So I just say, yeah, well, I'm a Zionist. Yeah, I am, yeah. I believe in a homeland for Jewish people. I believe in their right to defend themselves. I believe in that. I believe totally in that. Yeah, it's surrounded by jihad.
I'm a Zionist.
I don't
Now,
really care.
this is something that I acquired a little while ago on camera so you can see it. It's a coin from 2,200 years ago from Jerusalem. I want you to hold this. I'm sure you've seen copies of it before, but this is something that personally,
Yep.
for me, sometimes even as a Jew, when you're fighting this fight, you have moments where you doubt. Am I on the right side? Am I on the wrong side? What's my history? What do I understand?
I don't have any moments where I doubt.
I'm just saying openly as a man. Sometimes sometimes you're like, am I fighting the right fight? You know, and moments where you're getting extreme hate. This coin right here sets my mind at ease every single time. It's from 2,200 years ago, during the Roman occupation of Jerusalem. On the back of the coin, it says here,
We will be home.
year 2. No.
No.
It says here in Paleo Hebrew,
Yep.
Freedom to Zion. That right there is the word Zion in Paleo Hebrew.
Yep.
So even 2,200 years ago, when the Jews were being oppressed by a colonial state, by Rome, they resisted it with the word Zion. Like Zionism, it's not a European colonial construct that they always tell us. It's something ancient, integral to our people.
And what they've done is they've made it a dirty word.
They've made it a dirty word.
Made it a dirty word that no
Absolutely.
one wants to be associated with. Just like that, they've even done that with right wing.
Yeah.
Forget far right. They've made right wing a dirty word. When people
Correct.
say, "I'm not right wing,"
Or conservative, Republican.
Conservative. They've made them all. They've successfully won the word war. Yeah, where they dictate. So Zionism, people are even you see Jews saying, "I'm not a Zionist." What do you mean you're not a Zionist? What are you talking about?
Of course, you're a Zionist. It's in your history.
What are you talking about? But I don't blame people because they're now afraid to say that because you get violently attacked. Even just the comment section, it's just like. But you have to not care.
Yeah.
You have to not care. And you have to understand, which is what I said, why are you talking about Israel? Because it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to understand who our allies with. Who are our allies? Western civilization. Democracies. Yeah, I'm fed up of the United Nations putting out bullshit statements because most of the countries and the dictatorships that make up the United Nations are human rights violations, absolute Sharia-driven hellholes. Why are we listening to these clowns? I want to listen to democracies.
By the way, countries who deny their own history, which on this coin I have like direct proof of, this is something that I always speak to Muslims about, and I think it's some of the best ammo about Israel. This right here is a coin from the Muslim period, after the death of the Prophet Muhammad. They came here, they colonized the land, the Umayyad dynasty.
They colonized every land. They built a conquest. Every conquest they build their new mosques like Temple Mount. They build
which
it on
I saw
top.
you got banned from the other day.
Do you know what I noticed? I'm going to be totally honest. I noticed that there's been a big shift up there because 10 years ago I come here and I tried to enter Temple Mount and I was aggressively confronted because I had a cross on my arm.
He has a cross
and they said,
tattoo.
"You cover it," and they have the attitude of them was so aggressive. Yeah, you cover this. I said, "I'm not covering this. What are you talking about?" Yeah?
Israelis, the Israeli police.
No, the
Waqf?
The Waqf, yeah. But the Waqf were very aggressive, yeah. They weren't this time. Okay. I don't know what's changing. I don't know. And to be honest, there wasn't as much freedom up there.
Correct.
As I felt this time.
Correct.
I didn't feel free, yeah. But there's been a shift from 10 years ago. So yeah, I just have And I also what I've done is when I've been here, I've gone to Jerusalem. I've spoke to Muslims who work here, who live in the state of Israel. I'm going to do the same if I get time to Muslim Arabs because. Remember, back home, they're told that Muslim Arabs hate Israel.
Right.
Well, the ones that live here are quite happy living here.
Of course they are. They wouldn't want to live anywhere else.
No, that's what I asked them.
Yeah.
That's what I asked them. But the ones who live under the Palestinian Authority, obviously they probably do hate Israel and do hate Jews because it depends who's propagating and what's propaganda and who's in control of the education. So yeah.
It's actually surprising, Tommy. You know, a lot of Arabs living in the West Bank, they're sort of a 50-50. Yes, the default position is to support Hamas. That's true. Most Arabs in the West Bank, in Judea and Samaria, they support Hamas. But a lot of them, given the opportunity to live here, would take it instantly because life here is so much. I mean, you see.
They can thrive.
I'm not trying to make it sunshine and roses because there are problems in this country. There's like in every country.
There's problems in every country.
But it is definitely a way better alternative than what they have going on right now.
Yous actually do it better than Britain. Like, as in, I said last time I come here, 2016, I paid and I went to a Fatah-controlled refugee camp in Bethlehem, asking lots of questions again. On the way back from there, I saw about 1,000 young Arabs, and they were racing camels. And I stopped the car and I got out and I had an I Love Israel t-shirt on. And I thought, let's go see what they've got to say. Yeah? And I thought, they're going to kill me here. Yeah? And I walked over and no one batted an eyelid. No one even batted an eyelid about my t-shirt. Yeah? No one cared. And then as I was talking to them, I was asking them about Donald Trump. They love Donald Trump. They said, we need a strong leader because they respect strength.
Correct.
They don't respect weakness.
It's peace through strength.
Peace through strength. And then I saw young Jews, a Jewish family, having a picnic with very visually you could see they're Jews with their kippas on. And I stood there and thought, you couldn't do this in London. You could not have 1,000 young Pakistani youth and a Jewish family having a picnic because that Pakistani youth would turn on that Jewish youth. But not here. So I remember looking at it thinking, something's working better. You've got a 20% Muslim population. You see, when Europe gets a 20% Muslim population, war, jihad, takeover. Absolutely is coming. Look at the chaos that's caused now. You know, in Britain, we have 40,000 Muslims on a terror watch list. This is where the British public need to wake up. Look what 5,000 Muslims done on October 7th. 4,000, however many. Now, we have 40,000 on terror watch lists. Now that, if you keep increasing the demographic of the Islamic community and you don't deal with the terrorist groups or the radicalisation, the extremism, then 40,000 is going to become 80,000. We only have 70,000 military. Like, we're in trouble. Europe's in trouble. France is in trouble. Sweden's in trouble.
You're going to have a domestic takeover from inside of the country.
Maybe without any bullets. But that is only going to happen so long as the public are not awake and not unified. I don't know if anyone saw the scenes on September 13th. Maybe stick the video from the overhead in this. I'll send you the overhead.
The massive crowd.
Mate, we bought a helicopter because I knew they'd lie. And what they don't, we paid £10,000 for a helicopter to come report on our demo. And what it does, they don't understand they're digging their own graves, the media, yeah? All the media come out and say 100 to 150,000 people. Our video, quote tweeting those media lies, got 66 million views.
Wow.
Yeah? Their power in the monopoly of power has gone. What we need to understand is the battle of ideas is in social media.
Right.
It's on X, it's on YouTube, it's on all these platforms. That's where I say Israel's been losing, because all of the new generation of influencers have been bought and paid for. Is it what's the big Jew said? Dan Bilzerian?
Dan Bilzerian.
Dan Bilzerian.
The Armenian guy.
So Dan, the Armenian guy whose family were butchered and historically genocided by the same idea that wants to genocide the Jews.
Correct.
That's his family.
Correct.
And that clown is sitting there, sitting there taking a photo for his Instagram with the Quran. Like, how much they pay you for that, you clown? So many of them, like Sneeko, they're coming out and doing all these PR videos for Saudi Arabia. It's like, what the hell is going on, man? What is going on? And across the West. Now, the difference is, anyone in the UK or anyone in Europe, find me an ex-Muslim who doesn't support Israel. Find me an ex-Muslim that doesn't support Israel. Because any ex-Muslim understands the ideology of Islam, they understand the dangers, so they understand that Israel is the ally and they understand what Israel faces. Find me anyone who's educated on Islam, who's a non-Muslim, who doesn't side with Israel. Now, the people who are siding against Israel with Iran, like Dan, they've not grown up surrounded by Muslims. They don't understand what it's like. They have no idea of the hostility or the aggression.
But it's also about having real values that you can't be bought out for. If somebody were to pay you $1 million, $2 million, whatever it would be, to go backstab the UK right now, I know Tommy Robinson would not do that.
No, I wouldn't do it. And even now, you know what? They've picked up on this little 10-second. I met someone here who said there's a place in hell for the British, But the comment he was making, we had a long chat. We spoke about, before this, we spoke about the history of Israel, how Britain betrayed Israel, in times, in 1948, even in the shit stirring in the early years, 1914. So we had all that conversation. He'd already sat down and said how much he loves Britain, how he loves, and he has all this passion. But they've took a 10-second clip of him talking about the betrayal by the establishment or the government. So, but yeah.
So, look, this is something that I'm really curious about as well. You, on your speech, which I found, I didn't know all the trailers and documentaries you have produced.
Yep.
The one repeating factor I heard you say over and over again that night was, you are a journalist. Yep. I want you to talk for a moment about how the mainstream media, who is now flailing, and what we're fighting against to become the new media.
We are the new media. We're not becoming the new media.
Yeah,
these shows. So even like I was attacked by some Israeli news. They come to our event, So you're a journalist. You come and sit and listen to a 2-hour presentation. You listen to what we say, and then they run the headline that one bloke out of 1,000 stood up. And that bloke is a journalist. He works with far left organisations. So he went there as a provocateur.
Correct.
He screamed abuse about me being a racist. Then they use what that one person done to print a headline, word association, Tommy Robinson hated Israel, racist.
And they also, I think they wrote far right in there.
Far right.
Well.
But then they do that, but what they don't understand is, say someone like yourself, we're getting more views than them.
Absolutely. And you could see he's not far right. I mean, clearly you could see he's not far right.
I take the attitude, which is what we all need to take, is I don't care what the media say. And your monopoly is gone. Channel 4 woman comes here, well done, darling, because my video and my interaction with you was viewed by 3 million people.
It's a beautiful video.
And that video got 3 million across different platforms, and her video probably got 100,000, 200,000. You don't win anymore.
Yeah.
Your power's gone. You're still clinging on to it. You don't realise it. The mainstream media are walking along with a terminal illness. You're dying. We understand that. So the new generation coming through, they're not watching mainstream media. They're watching TikTok. They're watching YouTube. they're on X. This is the new generation, so that's where the battle of ideas need to be had.
And now I think, being that we are, as you said, we are the mainstream media now, I'm curious, something I haven't really heard you chime in on. You arrived here right as we brokered this peace deal with Donald Trump. I'm curious, what are your predictions for what's going to happen here? Where do you see this going? Do you believe in what we're living through right now, this potential peace in the Middle East?
Peace in the Middle East sounds beautiful, doesn't it?
Sounds amazing.
It's what everyone would want, isn't it?
Yeah.
How do you have peace with people who want to murder your whole people? How do you have peace with them? Now, yeah, peace can come from this state, it can come from the Jewish people, it can come from the Christian people. Iran's not going to allow peace. Remember these countries, like even Hezbollah in Lebanon, right? If they don't have the war, then it will become hopefully a Christian homeland again. Yeah? If they don't have the war, they need the war. Qatar need the war. All these countries, the Palestinian Authority need the war. They need the war. Not just they need the war, ideologically they want the war. They want to massacre and kill all the Jews. So hopefully Donald Trump, I admire Donald Trump. I hate to think where this country would be. I hate to think where the West would be if Donald Trump didn't win that election.
Scary thought.
What would it have looked like?
Scary thought.
What would it have looked like? But then we're at a crossroads. The British Jewish community are at a crossroads. We are at the most important moment. It's now or never for an awakening. It's now or never to win this fight. It's now or never for Europe. It's now or never. Because in another 3-4 years, if we don't really get to grips and wake the people up, and look, what I'd say is 9 million people voted for Keir Starmer, yeah? 9 million. 20 million people didn't vote.
Really? I didn't know that.
20 million didn't vote.
Wow.
Right? We will reach that 20 million.
You have to.
We're going to. We are. Do you know the 20 million didn't vote? It's us, the working class. Yeah. They have turned the middle class against the Jews. They've turned them against Israel. They would love to turn the working class. Yeah. Unfortunately for them, we're the working class. Right? We don't hate Jews. We've had enough of Palestine. We get it. We live with them. We've lived with these groups that you've imported into our country. Not you. We live with them. So we know the hostility. We know the aggression. We get it. We know the hatred. So our job is to galvanise, electrify, captivate that 20 million. Yeah. Which we're going to do. If you look at, we had a goal 2 years ago when we set up the United Kingdom movement. If you look at what we've done in those 2 years, we've gone from 30,000 to 100,000. We've gone from 100,000 to 150,000 at demonstrations. We've now gone to millions. Yeah. Our next event is Unite the Kingdom, Unite the West. It's a lot of planning. It's going to cost. It's going to be a big event. I think it's going to be the most watched political event. Wow. Freedom event in the world.
Do you have a date set already?
We do, but I don't want to give it out yet. It will be next year in the summer. A lot of planning has to go into this, but this isn't a British issue. It's a Western civilization issue. So it affects Britain, yeah, it affects France, it affects Sweden, it affects Israel. Yeah? And unless you see a unified front, which is where anyone who supports Western civilization and democracy needs to come together right now. Yeah? And it needs to come together right now, work together, unite together, and send a message to the world, send a message to the Islamists, send a message to the jihadists. We're together, we're united. Yeah? But they don't want that. They don't want it with you. They want Israel on their own. They want the Jews on their own. They want the straight people on their own. They do not want unity. Yeah? We have already successfully united this country, united the kingdom at our events, and we're giving people back the sense of identity, the sense of belief. And if you give those people, and it's not through politics, it's through culture and identity. So we had the vision 2 years ago. If we shift the culture, change the culture, you change the politics anyway. The politics comes from the cultural change. We've successfully we've raised the flags. It's what you have here naturally anyway. Your flag is everywhere.
Yeah.
What you're witnessing happening in Britain, which is again some optimism for people, I wasn't optimistic 2 years ago. What we've achieved in 2 years, I know the country's awake, because when I walk the streets, I get embraced, I get love, I get support, I get passion everywhere I go. I can see how the change. Remember, I've walked these streets.
You said it in your speech, the lions of Britain have woken up.
It's awake, man, I'm telling you. The country's awake.
So last question, what is the hope? What is the end goal for Tommy Robinson here? When do you get to finally say, I've accomplished what I accomplished, here's the next generation can kick off what I've done?
I want to hand down a safe and prosperous Britain the same way you want to hand down a safe and prosperous Israel. We only get there by waking people up, by waking the country up and understanding what we face. And getting through the lies, Islam is a religion of peace. Bullshit. What are you talking about? It never has been. Do you know that phrase in one of my books? That phrase, Islam is a religion of peace, was never said till George W. Bush. And it's like the genocide, it's like the far right. Islam's a religion of peace, just keep repeating it. And then it's spoke about as a matter of fact. No, it's not. It's a conquest ideology. It's a violent, warlike ideology, yeah, that has raped and pillaged its way through the world. And it would love to do it here. So what is my goal? My goal is to unite Britain. It's to awaken Britain. It's to use my journalism, but it's also to build a mass movement that can swing public opinion, that all of the politicians, I sit there and look at them, and they're having to shift. They're having to shift. And they may want to attack me. Trust me, in the next 2-3 years, many of them are going to have to stop attacking me, because we are going to be representatives of the biggest movement of the British public that our country's seen. We are building a cultural revolution in Great Britain, and they're not going to stop it. They're just not going to stop it. Nothing they can do to stop what's happening. It's happening. Now, for us, they've tried to keep me toxic. I've had a state invite from Israel. I am having massive support, even since being here, from European politicians, from the future leaders of Europe, as well as from the United States. They want, again, we just need to unify everyone who supports Western civilization. Everyone who, if I'm standing here and I'm in the Middle East, where is there freedom of religion in the Middle East? The Christian population have gone from 20% to 4% in 30 years. That's a genocide.
They're disappearing.
They're disappearing. Why are they? Where is the Christian population not disappearing? Here in Israel.
Correct.
It's the only place in the Middle East it's growing. It's the only place that and then somehow you've got Christians, or so-called Christians now, on the right in America, condemning Israel, but silent on the jihad in Nigeria, silent on the jihad against Christians across the Middle East. But yet they're condemning Israel because a few radical Jews have spat out a Christian on the video. That video is then used to pump around the world. Well, the only place, you see those Jews that spat on the Christians in those videos, they're prosecuted and arrested by the state of Israel.
Correct.
Do you see in all the Islamic nations that surround the Middle East? They're not prosecuted, they're celebrated. They're supported for attacking Christians.
I think, by the way, that is something, this is a lesson, I don't want to go on for too long, but this is a lesson that every single Christian needs to learn from Israel. This is something that they need to learn. When the Ashkenazi Jews from Europe, they created this state in 1948, you know what the first thing they did was? They tapped in the Mizrahi Jews from the Arab world. They said, all right, you guys are in danger, let's bring you in. And you know what the Mizrahi Jews did? They tapped in the Ethiopian Jews. The fact that Christians around the Middle East have been all but abandoned by American Christians and by a lot of Western Christianity, we have to understand that those Christians who have been the fabric of Christianity in the Middle East, their population needs to stay alive. We need to fight for them.
Well, look, we just need to look at Lebanon, but most people in Britain have no knowledge of the history of Lebanon, what happened in Lebanon, even who went in to save the Christians in Lebanon, the state of Israel. Yeah? So most people just don't understand what's gone on in many of these countries or how Islam has spread through the sword. If they did, again, it's education, it's understanding, it's knowledge on what's been going on and what's happened to the Christian population.
Tommy, I wanted to give you a little gift as we part ways here.
Yep.
This right here is called a tarbush kippah. This isn't in a religious sense. This, for Jewish people, all this means is a symbolic thing that when we want to remember that God is above us, we put this on our head. I'm not expecting you to ever wear this if you don't want to. No. Just a gift I wanted to give you. This is something that Mizrahi Jews have been wearing for thousands of years, or all around the Middle East.
And probably get killed for wearing in the Middle East, in some places.
In the Middle East, yeah, for
You probably
sure.
get killed in Luton for walking around with this.
I just wanted to give you a little gift to show my appreciation. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this, and
No,
thank you
cheers.
for everything you've been doing for Israel.
Thank you.
We are all so appreciative of Tommy.
No, thank you, man.
Thanks,
Thank
man.
you. Yeah, stay safe.
Great to meet you, man.
Cheers,
Thank
bro.
you so much.
Right, I'm going to go see a very brave lady now. Do you know Tal?
Yeah, Tal Hartuf.
Tal Gift. I met Tal and spent a week with her in 2016 when I come here. British lady, and this was part of my awakening. British lady who was attacked in a terrorist attack. Her friend was murdered in front of her. They've just released her friend's killer.
Crazy.
He's just been released in this recent peace agreement. So I want to see how she feels about that. But when I met her, I never had knowledge of the Palestinian Authority paying the pay-to-slay process. I learned a lot on that last trip. The British public are not aware of this. They're not aware that Keir Starmer just recognised the Palestinian state who pay people to kill Israelis. It's mad anyway, but right, cheers.
Appreciate you.